Good afternoon again. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the JRC here in a moment, but first, the disclaimers and the trigger warnings. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, pertinent links are going to be there in the description box. We have Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject. We also have the article written by Neuroclastic, where they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center's so-called behavior modification program. They didn't like that there was so many people that Neuroclastic was able to survey that could explicitly point out they're crazy. So, they threatened Neuroclastic with a defamation lawsuit if they wouldn't take that article off of their website. Neuroclastic refused, of course, so that article is still up for you to read and share, so please do so. Share it on all your social media. And we do have Neuroclastic's GoFundMe linked in there as well, because unlike the JRC, we don't have access to unlimited streams of money, in case they ever do see through with their threat. Trigger warnings: when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people's mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you do got young children present, please make sure to use the headphones. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child 16 and younger and watching this, parental supervision is very much advised. Now back to where we left off. We're going back to doing one sentences. Because JRC sent that. Alright, where we left off. Specifically, and as to each and every patient for whom the ESD treatment is recommended by a medical provider, the Probate and Family Court in Massachusetts holds a substituted judgment proceeding in which it provides the patient an independent court-appointed counsel who may have an independent psychologist examine the patient and propose GED treatment, and the Massachusetts Department of Developmental Services may also intervene and present its own expert's evaluation of the patient and the proposed treatment. Could you please stop bullshitting everyone for 5 minutes? Do you all ever stop lying? Alright, let's play devil's advocate. GRC? Which medical provider is recommending these kids be placed on the GED device? Which provider is that? You see, out here, we've got the big providers from Mercy and Cox. I can name them right off the top of my head. I've worked with both for years. Both A, as a person within the service system, and B, as a person who is actually employed within the service system, working for my state directly. Okay? So tell me, which medical provider is recommending that these kids get placed on the GED device? I don't want vague terms. I don't want bullshit. Name the provider. Who is it? Should be simple, right? After all, a medical provider being a medical provider, we're not dealing with HIPAA here. You just be explaining this particular provider sends kids our way. Who is it? Who is it? And why do I get the feeling that the medical provider that is recommending that the kids get put on the GED device is none other than the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center itself. On the most technical of terms, they can be called a service provider, unfortunately. So tell me, JRC, the medical provider that is recommending this treatment, is it actually an independent and unaffiliated medical provider that is making these recommendations? Or is it you and your team? Because considering the way you take those kids in and give them free run for a solid week, call me a crazy conspiracy theorist, but I have the feeling that the medical provider that is recommending this treatment is the JRC itself, which is a major conflict of interest. And if those judges had any spine whatsoever, they would disqualify it out of the gate for that exact reason. Okay? Let's continue in that, shall we? The probate and family court in Massachusetts holds a substituted judgment proceedings, and it provides the patient independent court-appointed counsel. JRC, we are well aware of the fact that you've had the Massachusetts courts wrapped around your fingers for over 40 years. The reason why you do so is because you hang that 1987 decree over their heads like the sword of Damocles, and then remind them about how much you have access to unlimited funds to buy the best lawyers on planet Earth to force your way if they won't just give it to you. State departments are not nearly as wealthy as the JRC. We don't exactly have the type of money where we can fight lawsuits forever. And once again, does a judge go to law school or medical school? Do we know that the judge is able to determine whether the so-called independent person that is helping make the decision to put the kid on the GED device or not is actually unaffiliated with the JRC and are making an objective judgment? Because I'm sorry, but something's rotten in the state of Denmark, folks. It smells fishy. Very fishy. Okay? But it's a court-appointed counsel. You know, the whole an attorney will be provided for you has never really given confidence to anyone. Would you like to know why that is? Yeah. Not talking smack on them, but yeah. Okay. And I love this line here. Who may. This child is about to be stuck on a human shock collar, forced to be tortured over and over and over again for years. And the person that is supposed to be on their side may have someone that's an independent psychologist examine the patient. You all really are fucking monsters. Every last one of you. May. you for real? Also, speaking of said counsel, again, did they go to medical school? Are they capable of having the ability to determine whether the independent psychologist is actually independent or not? Because something tells me that JRC will make a recommendation for a independent psychologist. Okay? Just this feeling that I get, you know? Crazy, I know. And then you mention MDDS, and I'm glad you do, because they do not like being forced to continue to allow you to torture kids generation after generation. But state departments, particularly in the developmental disability field, are already on skeleton crews. We only see cuts. We never see additional funding coming in. We do not have the resources at our disposal that places like JRC do to be able to fight these court battles forever. Most of us can barely afford to be able to serve the individuals that we are at the moment. And due to the fact that we all now live in GOP hell, that's about to get worse. Okay? You've got them between a rock and a hard place here. If you go by the consent decree, it's literally like the MDDS is not allowed to oppose your insanity. Because if they do, you will sue them, and the corrupt courts who've gone out of their way to give you everything that you ever wanted. Yeah. Yeah. May. The child's life is on the line. They are in a situation where if they're getting forced to be on that device, they may be looking at lifelong psychological and physical issues that are absolutely going to develop because of it. But they may bring in someone objective to evaluate the child beforehand. JRC, how often does that happen? When you do these court proceedings in regards to the GED device, how often does said court-appointed counsel actually have an independent psychologist take a look at the case? That's what I thought. All right. Yeah. We're going to read the rest of the paragraph. The court is required to review the treatment plan at least annually to determine if the treatment remains effective and necessary for that specific patient and should be reauthorized for another year. This is one of the most insane things of all. Why the hell is the court determining, in regards to this case, whether this treatment is effective and necessary? Whose word do they have to go off of? The JRCs. Right? The judge was not educated to work within this field. They went to law school, not medical school. They did not specialize in psychiatry, psychology, or neurology. They're just a judge. They went to law school. But we're going to trust their judgment on whether or not this is the continued punishing and abusing of a disabled person is effective and necessary. Does nobody see how wrong that is? You see, how it works with me is I'm reevaluated every 2 years by the means of the full functional behavioral assessment, which is literally how everybody fucking else does it. And it is there where the treatment plans are tweaked and where they evolve, where I no longer need supports, new areas where I might need supports. Even with my appointment today and bringing to their attention that there's some weird new OCD tendencies that I didn't have previously. That became a part of it. They tweaked it. We went over a decent solution to help get that new trait under control. Okay? Because I discuss things with my doctor, such as what's going through my head when those weird OCD tendencies that I never had previously pop up. Because my doctors are intelligent, this is their area of expertise, and they knew the best way to deal with this new weird trait is to get to what's triggering it. And boy did I need help, because I couldn't figure out what was triggering it either. They're very good at what they do. But this is how normal people do things. Okay? Putting the judge in the place where an objective doctor who specializes in this field should be to make this determination is insane. Insane. Here we go again. And the patient's guardians may withdraw consent for the treatment at any time. Court-appointed counsel may seek review of the treatment anytime. If your lips are moving, JRC, you're lying. Cheryl McCollins told you to take the electrodes off the back of her son's arms after noticing second and third degree burns where those electrodes were placed so that they would be able to heal. You very clearly, this is backed up by video surveillance footage, ignored her and left them on there. Looks like you didn't respect her withdrawal of consent. I have the feeling that Cheryl McCollins is not the only one who ignored when parents have removed their consent. What do you want to bet? And then the council can seek to review anytime. And you're going to use the same exact gaslighting tactics that you use on your students, JRC. You just don't understand why this is the best for them. You see, we got to do this and this and this. Sad thing is, those of us who are informed and worked in this field, who are neurodivergent, know just how full of shit you all are. Which is why we have a more clear view of what's actually going on as opposed to the picture you try to sell everyone. You're not the martyrs, JRC. You are the monsters from the institution age past. Okay? And the way you do things should have gone the way of the dodo long ago. But because you got called a school instead of an institution, you've been allowed to skate around and get away with your barbaric treatment of our most vulnerable for decades. But JRC, all things must come to an end at some point. us advocates who have been there with our feet on your necks for decade after decade are not going anywhere. We're going to go ahead and close on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So I would appreciate it if you please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to utilize the comments. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone.